Today I'm going to paint a lemon branch. Hi friends, I'm Olga Koelsch, watercolor artist, teacher and a book author. Welcome to my studio. So firstly, let's draw the direction for the branch. It's nice to add some dynamic. Then let's attach the first lemon, oval shape, with this very specific to lemons tip. And then the other one, let's hang them in pairs. Another oval shape. It's just shapes, no need to have a drawing here. It's just oval shapes. And then we can see there is one more guy looking from the background, oval shape, and so to say small nose or tip. And then one slightly separate oval shape, small tip, and the rest will be just leaves. More convenient, you can already set up some leaves. Again, oval shapes, slightly bigger than lemons themselves, and I suggest we will paint them along the way. Now I will remove pencil marks. I will start to paint with lemons. I will use lemon yellow as my basic color for lemons. Not a surprise, right? Covering the full surface of the lemon, and I would like to leave a stripe of white paper untouched to emphasize the brightness. Also very typical for lemons, these uneven dotted skin structure, so I will just try to recreate that. Then I switch my brush just to another brush, and I will take something much warmer yellow, something in between yellow and orange, Indian yellow. Gamboge can also be good. And then I add a bit more of shadows on one side, like this, right on top, and I just allow it all flows as it wants. You can even add a bit of orange. So we are creating the shadows, moving from the lightest yellow you have, adding secondly something darker yellow, and then something darker, and even a little bit more dark. Mostly orange, red, orange. Now paint this one. Same principle. The sun shines. Let's paint the sun. Sun shines from the top left. Therefore, around this area there will be a glare. So I just paint around and keep this spot of paper untouched with lemon yellow. And then I'm filling in this area with tipping brush strokes, like this. It will look more natural. And then I use my other brush and my Indian yellow, and I will add a bit of shadows at the very bottom, because this is the lightest area on the top, and on the bottom it's a bit darker, and on the opposite side from the sunlight it's also a bit darker, and even more of orange, darker tones. You can even, with a small brush with tipping moves, you can add a couple of dots on the surface of the lemon to imitate this skin texture. The other lemon, firstly find the spot for the glare, for the brightest, lightest part, and paint around. As you can see, we always can reduce it, so you can firstly make it bigger, and then then work on it with the tip of the brush, filling in this white spot, switching brushes, darker yellow. The sun comes from top, therefore the bottom will be in the shadow, and the opposite side from the sunlight will be also in the shadow. There is a lot of happening between fruits and leaves and so on, but for now we're just setting up the initial shape, disregarding everything around. Couple of dots with the tip of the brush, mostly on the bottom part of the lemon. Looks juicy. Now this bottom lemon, which is in the shadow of those upper guys. So if you have something less bright yellow, maybe the next one, cadmium yellow deep, and carefully with the tip of the brush I paint the surface of this yellow lemon. Somewhere around this area there will be the lightest spot, because these parts are covered, are in the shadow of the upper fruits. So I just repeat the same procedure, just with a little bit darker paints. The texture, switching brushes. Now I add shadows also on the top part and in the bottom part. And I need more shadows, cadmium orange. If you need to make some corrections, dry a brush with a paper towel, and with clean damp brush you can distribute paints around. If you all have different shadows of green, you can just use them. I have sap green, I have olive green, just different greens. If you have just one green, for example phthalo green, you can mix it with raw sienna, with drop of orange. If you mix phthalo green with drop of orange, creamy mixes, be creative. Ultramarine blue, add to the mix. So we have just different shadows of green. Firstly, I would like to paint the lightest leaves which are on the top. So I start with the tip of my brush. I add some wiggling moves. That's the half of the leaf. I can take another mix for the bottom part of the leaf. Basically just filling up these oval shapes. And what I would like to do is to make the edge a bit wavy, a bit curvy. Tip of the brush, pressure on the brush, then a bit of wiggling moves, and then let it go. And then you can grab another mix, same point, tip of the brush, wiggling moves, and release the pressure. Now we don't see the beginning of the leaf. You can even create the beginning carefully with the tip of the brush, and then repeat what we did before. You add pressure on your brush and then create this curvy edge, and then release the pressure, and then you can correct the shape here. And the second half, again, do what's convenient for you. For example, for me it's convenient to carefully set up the beginning of the leaf with smaller brush strokes, and then with the body of the brush I can work bold like this, and I can add a bit of darker color into this leaf. Now our task is just to arrange all this greenery nicely. I can add a couple of leaves in the same way without any drawing. Firstly, I do some outline carefully around the lemon, and then I move my brush pretty freely, like this. I always try to change a little bit the paints, mix them, just to make it more interesting. Firstly, I carefully make the very beginning of the leaf, and then I just press on my brush, move it, wiggle it a little bit, and release the pressure. Sometimes your brush can leave spots like this. I like to leave them because that will imitate the sun reflection on the surface of the leaves. What else haven't we have here? I would like to add a bit more. I imagine that the leaf grows like this, like this, like this, and that means I can see just the edge of the leaf from underneath lemon. So I made the outline, and then I carefully fill this outline. So today we are practicing different ways of painting leaves, and I think it will be helpful. Just finish like this. If you have a big water drop here, dry your brush and collect this drop. Leaves can grow and move in different directions. So let's imagine there is one leaf attached to this point, and then it grows like this, appears on the surface, then it goes underneath the big leaf, and then it appears on the opposite side somewhere. Now would be nice to make all these lemons to pop up, add some darker leaves. Firstly, create the outline. Something like this, and then fill in this. Also paint carefully around the lemon, and then fill in this outline, fill this shape with the help of the bigger brush. The darker you will make this bottom mix for the bottom leaf, the more lemons will be popping up. Small brush, just more convenient. Let's add this small branch to this leaf, and then imagine how it will grow. Something about this. You can't see the tip of the leaf. Outlines around. I like to make some of the leaves shapes overlap, bleeds, so like this, and paint around. Let's add one more. Again, I imagine how it grows, the leaf shape, and then I proceed. And then I proceed again, I add some movement, and then I do outline, just because it's helpful. I don't want watercolor bleeds, I don't want green watercolor bleeds with the lemon part, but when it bleeds in between leaves, I find it very beautiful. And then I just fill in the shape. Now let's paint the branch. Something like burnt sienna, maybe already mixed with one of our orange. And with my brush I move with relatively free hand style. I don't want to create straight branch, it's not natural. I try to add some texture on the branch, also to connect the leaves. When I paint in between lemons, I use a bit brighter brown right from the pen, right here. Now let's add just a couple of final details. With my bolder mix smaller brush, I can add middle veins, using different paints, different mixes, basically already everything what I have by now. The other trick would be just to wash your brush, dry it with a paper towel, and go in the darkest leaves just with water. That will create this white vein. Now I want to add some background. I will start from the top, just light brush strokes in between leaves, close to the lemons. I use a bit darker color. Basically I'm just imagining some leaves but without very defined shape. A little bit more of brown touch, maybe a drop of bright yellow is nice. Just trying to create nice, interesting, intricate background. You can leave some white spots, that's absolutely up to you. Don't forget to add some touches of yellow, touches of green. Everything you already have here mixed, just using what we have. If you see something dark, it's nice to add something light around. And the opposite, if you see something light, you can add something dark around. The more contrast you create, the more interesting it will be. I wash my brush and just with clean damp brush I go around, softening some edges if necessary. If I want to having a look, what can I add? There are small spots in between lemons. They are very important because it's the shadow, and it's better if you can paint them with something super dark. Take the darkest paints you have and just to add a couple of brush strokes in between those areas. As I have wet background and dry fruits, I can add a little bit of salt, so it will work only on the background area. So what's basically I would like to let it all dry. I can add some green shadows on the top of the lemons. Just make sure the lemons are dry and then paint on top. Add some green shadows on top. Now let's remove the type. You can see how beautifully it worked with salt on the background. It creates some splashes of sunlight, and the crispy part, the lemons, they stayed untouched. So all in all, we got a very vivid sketch, and I hope you enjoyed the process. Thank you so much for painting with me. I hope you enjoyed the process. I'm looking forward to see your feedback. What would you like to paint next? And see you soon. Bye bye.